Mr. Roberts, would you like to introduce the Coast Guard sector?
I will. So this is kind of an add-on, which we did. So this is an opportunity for us to interface with some more of Captain Zamparini's department heads, and two of them are here. Prevention and response.
Got it.
I'm getting it right off the bat. So what we're going to do is we'll have them introduce themselves. Commander Waddington is prevention, and Lieutenant Commander Roy is response. And if you don't know what that means, they're going to tell you a little bit about who they are and their background and what they do. And we had a very far-ranging conversation yesterday, which you can be part of. You're here to, and they'll be happy to take questions and interact with you. However, that we want to do that. So, gentlemen, look, you come up here. You can stay over there. This is easy.
I'm going to stay over here.
Okay, I'll give you a
That way
mic.
I can get.
There you go.
So, my name is Commander Randy Waddington. I am the Chief of Prevention at Sector Ohio Valley. It is my pleasure to be here. I have a long history of working with auxiliaries. Is that better? So, a little bit about myself. I'm a prior enlisted. I'm now a commander. I'm not sure how that happened. There are other people that wonder how that happened, but it did. So here I am today. I started out at a small boat station way back. I won't tell you how long ago, but it's been a while. It was actually Kennewick. It was a SART back in my home state of Washington. So you've been there?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, really?
I spent 25 years in Seattle.
Okay. Well,
I started active duty.
I like you already. So, I'm just going to talk to you the rest of the time.
Sir, explain to them what an ant is.
And how many here are familiar with the Aids to Navigation program? Okay. So an ANT is a station dedicated to the Aids to Navigation on a section of river. Okay. I can tell you, I came into the Coast Guard 30 years ago, and that was my first job. I didn't touch Aids to Navigation until I reported here 30 years later, where I now am in charge of 6 WLR tenders that service. We're arguing about whether it's 4,000 miles or 5,000 miles, but it's about in that range of Aids to Navigation. So I've kind of come full circle. I'm also responsible for vessel inspections, facility inspections, accident investigations, enforcement on the regulatory side. So how many do we have any merchant mariners in here? Oh yeah, okay. So I also do suspension revocation if somebody does something they shouldn't, and we take action against their license. Prior to being here at Sector Ohio Valley, I spent 6 wonderful years in Washington, D.C., and I say that sarcastically.
Yeah. Yeah, she liked it.
I was the investigations program manager and then the division chief for all of investigations. Prior to that, I was in Sector Los Angeles Long Beach. Prior to that, I can keep going. But basically, I've spent a lot of time on the West Coast. I don't really miss it too much, I don't think anymore, but yeah, exactly. So anyway, I do all things prevention, okay? So just real quick, 2 quick stories about my interaction with auxiliaries, okay? So the first one was around 9/11, and I got the great job as a prevention officer of being the Maritime Domain Awareness Division Officer, okay? How many have heard of that? Okay? That's more than the average. I could have a room full of active duty Coast Guard, and I would get just about that number of hands. But basically, I had to screen every vessel that came into Puget Sound, and I had 2 people. Okay? And I had to do that 24/7 for an entire 2-year period. Okay? So who do you think I reached out to? Auxiliarist. That's right. And I had a particular auxiliarist who was a former Navy commander who was spectacular at this stuff. And he mobilized a group. So auxiliarist, Goldside auxiliarist came together, And I did this job for 2 years, and there was no way I was ever going to do that job without auxiliaries. So that's story number 1, okay? Story number 2. So I'm a lieutenant commander. I get assigned to Sector Los Angeles Long Beach, and I have, I'm the investigations division chief, and the number 1 casualty in LA Long Beach is diver deaths, okay? How much do I know about diving? Not much, okay? Fortunately, I had a very strong cadre of auxiliaries that knew way more than I did about diving and diving casualties. So we developed what's called an auxiliary dive investigation team, where I had about 6 to 10 auxiliaries who knew things about diving that facilitated our ability to do our investigative mission. So those are the 2 good feel-good type stories with auxiliaries. When I got here, there is, at Sector Ohio Valley specifically, there's not a lot of prevention auxiliarists. There is one exception. I own the Marine Safety Detachment in Cincinnati, and they are pulsed up, plugged in to my Marine Safety Detachment. It is auxiliary and gold active duty folks side by side doing facility inspections. Last time I was there, there was like 6 auxiliaries sitting around with open CFRs going through their facility inspections PQS. So from a prevention standpoint, that gives that warm fuzzy feel in my heart in terms of that auxiliaries active duty getting together. I hope to see more of that moving forward, but that is it's as short as I could be response. So,
Pretty quick,
so I guess I'm going to turn it over to response.
Better Watch is just jealous. So my name's Eric. He's actually a response officer personality and prevention body, so I give him a little bit of credit. That's why when you said that, I said it's hard to tell. So Eric Roy, I just reported aboard this summer. Been in the Coast Guard, I just went over my 20-year mark. I came from Colorado. I was at Peterson Air Force Base. I was attached to U.S. Northern Command, where I was the Deputy Branch Chief for Search and Rescue and Personal Recovery. So that was kind of an interesting tour. There was actually auxiliary out there too. I actually ran into them all the time in town in uniform. There was quite a bit out there, believe it or not. And then before that, I was at Sector Southeastern New England, where I was the MER Branch Chief. And then before that, I was at Land Air Command Center. I was the new Maritime Security Response Team, Chesapeake, Virginia. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Who knows what MSRT is? Besides you. So you get the MSSTs and you get the MSRT, which is the kind of tip of the spear when it comes to advanced interdiction, law enforcement, the Coast Guard. Just opened another one out in San Diego, so now there's 2 of them. And Ensign McCarthy was actually out there as well. He came in like right after I was leaving. Also at the Coast Guard Honor Guard. I was out there for 2 years at our OCS. Before that, I was in MP2, did small boat stations and buoy tender. So kind of got a little bit of everything. Before that, I was a police officer in Vermont for like 4 years. So kind of law enforcement is kind of my deal in search and rescue. So here at Sector Ohio Valley, again, this is my first river sector, so definitely is a different beast, especially for the response. You know, the SMC, doing search and rescue, law enforcement, pollution response are kind of my 3 areas that fall under response department head. The interesting part is you have MSUs, MSDs that also do the pollution mission, and that's actually under prevention, but they do the pollution mission, so it's kind of like they report up through the prevention chain. However, they do a response mission, so that makes it a little more confusing for everybody as far as who's doing what. Search and rescue, again, not like a coastal unit where it's pretty clean cut, Coast Guard and what we do. So it's a lot of facilitating with and coordinating with locals and state agencies to go out and do search and rescue. When we get a call, don't have any search and rescue assets besides our boat houses, which aren't any type of recall. If they're around, we can use them, but there's no requirement for them to actually have any sort of recall status like a small boat station on the ocean. The other thing is we are in a search and rescue region that does not belong to the Coast Guard. We're in an aeronautical search and rescue region, which is actually U.S. Northern Command, which is the Air Force does, AFRCC. It's their search and rescue region. So it's a much different animal out here. And then law enforcement is the other piece. That's kind of the biggest piece of the response. We have all of the boathouses do a enforcement mission, they do a security mission, and that's why the boats are really out here. And then again, there's the MSUs who have boats. They report through the commander of the MSU, not to the response department head. So it's a kind of a whole different ballgame out here as far as the response mission goes. But I am the primary search and rescue mission coordinator. That's mostly me right now. Actually, I'm probably the only one besides the deputy, so I'm taking it most of the time, and we'll have another person come in this summer, but 9 times out of 10, that's me. So, definitely interact with Command Center a lot. That's kind of like my biggest interaction with them as far as the search and rescue mission goes. So I think what we're going to do is, if you guys have any questions as far as what you guys see out there, what your interaction with the different departments are, I guess that's kind of what we're going to do next. All right, sir? Yep. So we're kind of here for you guys, where you guys have, what questions you have. I know a couple things we talked about yesterday was, how do I see auxiliary interacting with response? And kind of the pushes for me are, the one is that, the pollution mission. I think that's a room to grow with getting the pollution quality going. We have a huge AOR here, and with our pollution mission, that's another thing that's different about here than on the coast, is we're in an EPA zone. So EPA is actually the lead pollution agency. However, they've given the Coast Guard some authorities to do pollution cases for commercial vessels. So we're operating actually with EPA permission to do that. So we have an MOA doing it. So it's different than the coastal zones. So, but I do see definitely an improvement there to try to maybe get pushing for some more pollution investigators, pollution responders.
Let's stop there for a second. So when we had this conversation yesterday, I said, how serious are you? And he looked at me and said, Commander Roy said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're aware that the qualifications you're talking about can only be given by active duty Coast Guard. We can't train ourselves. But if you're serious, and he is, I'll tell you what, you provide the instructors and we'll provide the bodies. So we got Dtrain's opportunities, we got other things we're talking about of standing up workshops taught by the people that can give you the qualifications. If that's what you want to do, you cannot do this without their qualification activities. Now the people that have, we have some people that have them, and we're going to work on the database to ensure that Commander Roy and others know who you are. But most of you are already plugged in with Marine safety units or detachments. That's how they got those qualifications in the first place. But ideally, we talked about reach, about the geography, about being spread out as far as we are, and that's where we're the force multiplier. Because they've already got active duty in Paducah and here and in Pittsburgh and Huntington and so on. Okay? Where they don't have them is, for example, in Huntsville or whatever, you pick it. Okay, and there's lots of river and the current goes fast and sheen detection is a big thing. But you gotta know what you're looking for, and you gotta be trained to do that. So we've kind of started this conversation, so stay tuned. If that's something that you wanna do and you poll your people when you go back, you've got a real passion for this, you can either get plugged in right now with people that are already on the rivers at Huntington. I know that they're starting to do that. Isn't that right, Carrie? Huntington's already standing this up. This is getting refocused, I guess is a better word. Is it restarted, whatever you want to call it? So there's a way to do that, but you guys you've got to go back and tell that story that if you're interested in the Marine, what we would call the Marine safety mission, and there's pieces of that goes across the whole cadre. There's a whole bunch of that stuff. And you can find that on the training website. But we can try to work together to get that kind of instruction delivered to us wherever we can get assemblies of people. That's the objective, okay?
Yeah, and it's not going to be, it's going to be difficult here. It's difficult enough for the active duty people to get pollution qualified. So it's going to take a while, and
yeah,
we understand that. And the tyranny distance around here does hurt both trying to get trained as well, because it is difficult. So, and there's not a lot of cases, because not every pollution case is ours. Well, actually, most of them are the EPA's. So it does take a while. while, but I think it's definitely something worth working toward, and we understand it's gonna take a while, years probably to get caught up. But that's one of those mission sets, I think, that'll be great for auxiliary and really help the Coast Guard activity people out. Sir?
Commander, in D7, when I was down there, we had a program called HAZWOPER, which is a 4-hour, 6-hour, sometimes 8-hour course. Basically, it give you an introduction to marine safety. We in the air use it, they use it on the water, around marinas and so on. Is that something that is available through the Coast Guard?
Yeah, well, the HAZWOPER is one of those things you have to have in order to be a pollution investigator. It's, it's to identify, hazardous materials, not get too close to hazardous materials, that type of thing. So that's one of those training evolutions you have to have in order to work your way up, and that's where it would start. That's where the training starts. So HAZWOPER is a requirement, and that'd be the minimum thing. The other thing too is, just because you don't have a pollution pole doesn't mean we can't use you for those things, and we would have to get you trained up in certain, like HAZWOPER and certain safety things to go out and just to even take a look for us and say, hey, what do you see? You see a sheen? I mean, that's kind of where we're at, is it worth sending somebody out there? Or, hey, I don't see anything, or hey, there's a lot, I can smell it, a lot of stuff. So, just because you don't have the qual doesn't mean we can't use you, but we need to have a certain minimum standards of training in order to send you out safely. So that's where we'll start.
What is the biggest challenge you have in fuel leaks and stuff?
Well, our biggest challenge is, the AOR is trying to get someplace in time to actually see where it's coming from. I mean, when you get a call and you're a 2-hour drive, and then by the time you get out there, it's gone, you don't know where it is. So for me, that's the biggest thing, is just trying to get on scene in a reasonable amount of time. Again, most other units, the Coast Guard, besides the Western River, it's easier to get there. You get there pretty quickly. But there's a lot of part of our AOR, which is very rural and it's hard to get to. And the other piece we're working on for response too is, using the aviation war. Again, and that's for, that pollution response mission as well, going out, checking out. We had a 3,000 gallon spill, it's about a month ago, sir, probably about a month ago. And that had been a great mission to get you on as well. So we're gonna try, hopefully, using the aviation piece more. And again, same with search and rescue. There's some parts of our AOR that there is no responders, or some responders will rely on state, local agencies to get on the river. And sometimes they just say, yeah, we're not gonna do that, which is their prerogative. I mean, the river's too high, too much debris, it's not worth it. And so, air access are another thing I've been working on since I got here. Civil Air Patrol, auxiliary, other federal agencies, getting that going, and auxiliary air definitely fits into that as well. So, yeah, hopefully you're going to tell us no more. We're done. That's my goal in the next 2.5 years, is to use you guys as much as we can. What was the other?
We're going to talk. I've already talked to Nick. We're expanding some of the questions that they asked about to increase capabilities. We had some capability questions about what the aircraft could do, and some capability questions about surface facilities, and the commander, Salinas, spoke to that, about what is utilitarian and what really isn't. We'll be talking to you about that, and then we talked a little bit about the communications piece yesterday. Right. You might want to comment on that.
Yeah, so another thing that's coming out is, for these big marine events, we've used some Coast Guard assets, the MCV, which is a communications truck, and some other things coming out of land area, paid for by land area, like for Thunder coming up and Riverfest. Well, I guess we heard that funding might not be there for the next few years, so if you're asked for it, you're gonna have to pay for it out of your own sector budget, which is gonna definitely hurt. So I think the other piece we're going to look at is, the communication piece of auxiliary as well. I know Cincinnati has a pretty robust trailer, and they do a very, very good job at the comms piece. So that's going to be something that we're going to look at this year. We were told for next fiscal year, we might not be able to have that without paying for it. And $6,000 for one event, bring a truck out from Chesapeake, Virginia, doesn't seem worth the worth that to us. So, and that's what it costs, and that's what it would cost for to bring that out for a day. So, that's another piece we're looking at for auxiliary as well.
So, yesterday when I came back, I had this conversation with somebody. Remember, I told you my caveat about communications from a pilot perspective. But those of you who are in communications, okay, one of the things that came out in terms of the database, those of you who are in the radio world, and there are a lot of you, we're trying to embellish what we know about you. And one of the things that came out, where are these assets? You mentioned Cincinnati, there's also one in Huntsville that Captain Zamperini mentioned, and I talked to Joe today about embellishing the database as to what it is, where it is, and what its capabilities are. Now, I got a lecture from a lot of people said it's better to get mobile facilities that have got this and got that. I don't know what I failed AC current when I had electrical engineering, so it's all magic to me, I'm sorry. I forgot a DC circuit, but when you got to those phasor diagrams, it lost me, so never mind. Huh? What? It's magic, Bob. I told you that when I first met you. It's all magic, okay? But the point of that story is this, is that we have to identify for them where you are, what you have, and what you can do. And that would, because that's not their bailiwick. What they're going to do is tell us what they need. This is what we need done, and this is where we need it done, and this is when we need it done. And it's up to us then to discriminate how to get that. Do we have that capability? And we've identified already. We're talking. This is the beginning of a conversation. This is where those gaps, you've heard that game before. Okay, where those gaps exist, and then the idea is to close them if we can. One of the things that came up yesterday was the 800, 900, what?
800 meg, 700 meg.
Yeah, whatever it was. Joe and I had a conversation. That guy over there knows what you're talking about. I didn't. All right. And obviously you can encrypt and it's all gee whiz and whatever. It's wonderful. Okay. It's magic. But the point is obviously it's expensive and we got in, but that's not to say we couldn't. Okay. So that's one of those needs that perhaps if there's a real need for that kind of equipment, we'll see what the best way to get that is. If going forward, it's going to be utilized, and obviously, if the cost-benefit ratio works. So that's the beginning of that conversation. So we started down this idea of how to put the communications piece. We talked a little bit about deploying with flood hunt teams. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, actually, that was the first time I've heard that one, so that was news to me.
New, yeah.
So, but again, we actually have a flood hunt roundup here from District 8's coming up next month, and we'll kind of see where we are with that one, because District 8's the one who controls. We man the teams, but it's a D8 asset technically, so it's kind of under their control. So that one I will bring up because will be up here as well.
I guess what the takeaway for me from yesterday and today is that the conversation has started. It's getting better than it has been in the past in the sense of we're moving down the field because obviously they're asking for help. And the question is how do we define what that is, and most importantly, that we can do it. Because remember, you've heard this from Roberts before, Mr. Roberts. Never overpromise and underdeliver. Never ever do that. Not okay. That won't work for anybody. So the idea is that we've got to know what we can do and be confident in that, and make sure when they ask us, we're not selling a load of hay. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the other thing too, what's going on, just so everybody's aware, there's been a discussion at District 8 as well about our boathouses here in the Western Rivers, and that's all 3 sectors, and that's up for to be reduced. That's what District sent to land. So if that happens, the auxiliary is going to be called on a lot more for small boats. So as of right now, Sector Lower would be still at 1 boathouse. Sector Upper would be at 1 boathouse, and we would be at 3. So we would lose Cincinnati and Huntington. So that's actually out. We just stood it up.
Sir, that's still a proposal, though, right?
It's a signed letter from D8 to the Land Area Commander.
Okay, it's gone.
It has. Again, it's got a long way to go, but I just wanted to shoot that out there just so you didn't hear it from somebody else for the first time. So that's our proposal. It's got a long way to go through headquarters, and they make it units and all this other stuff. So, especially with RAR, we have 200 marine events each year.
207 to be exact.
So that's another thing we're doing, and Ensign McCarthy is you're gonna see a lot more reach out from us to say, hey, can you support? We have this briefing matrix now. We go through, we sit down, we go through all 207 of them, We look at what they're asking for, what the need is, what the risk is, if we can support with Coast Guard assets, if we can support with auxiliary assets, and then obviously is local state assets as well. And then that, so you'll see that out there. I think Chris, you're gonna shoot that out here sometime. And so you'll see that as well. So I think you're gonna see an increase on ask. And again, that's all we're doing, we're asking if you can support or not. But I think you're gonna see a big increase around the board. That's kind of one of my biggest pushes since I've been here is, you know, getting the auxiliary more involved with the Coast Guard missions out here since we have so much going on.
So do you want to talk about SMC at all, or do you want to not? Is this the right group or not?
Say again?
About the SMC towing stuff, is this the right group or not?
You can mention, I mean, there's a brief on it.
All right, so one of the things for my SMC hat, I just want to mention real quick.
By the way, define what that means.
Okay, Star Mission Coordinator, so as the captain of the port, and Captain Zamperini is a Star Mission Coordinator, he's delegated that down to me. So I will be, the majority of the time, I'll be the senior person running SAR cases for the sector. One of the things I did see, and hopefully you guys can push back down to all your facilities, is just make sure they understand the SAR policy when they come across a disabled tow. A couple of times last summer, we had some tows that we got notified after the fact. So we just want to make sure that you guys are just pushing that, get into your SAR addendum, making sure when you come across the tow that we notify the command center and do it according to policy. I think it's not like 3 times last summer within a couple months. Again, not a big deal. Just want to make sure we're doing it the right way so we can follow common policy the way it's written.
So yesterday I got kind of a little bit of a report card. That was one of them. There's a couple more, and I was a little surprised by that because there shouldn't. Those of you in operations, and that's why we. By the way, it was said from a national perspective that the operations workshop is optional. From a D8 Eastern Region perspective, it is not. So those of you who are in surface operations, we have decreed that you will go through the operations workshop, just for that reason, because we go through the SOP every single year. Now, we had a little quick discussion because you guys know the book, those of you who are coxswains and crew. You don't ask them for permission, but you certainly still have the fiduciary responsibility to tell them what you're doing. Okay, that's right in the book. So hopefully we will get that fixed, but a big part of that, big part of your job, I said it yesterday, is education. And tomorrow, we got a long session with operations and all the QEs will be here and all that stuff. So you want to pop in on Saturday, you're certainly welcome to come because that's where we'll cover that. But guess who is in the line of fire when there's a mishap for notification? You. You may not have anything to do with service. Right in the SOP, the division commander will be notified. Didn't know that, did you? Hello? They didn't tell you that when you raised your hand and when you ran for office. I'm just saying, right? Okay, remember, okay, they elected you to lead them, and that's part of it. So heaven forbid that we have a problem, but you're right in the line of notification, division commanders, by name. So we got to fix that. I think it says division captains, which has changed some time ago. That's just a change we got to make. We'll fix that. So the reason I'm saying that is that this part of the education piece of this that came out of the discussion yesterday. So we still got people doing some playing law enforcement on the radio. I found that out yesterday. We'll fix that. Telling people on channel 16 to slow down in no-wake zone. It's a good idea, but you don't have any authority to do that. Okay, and those of you who've been involved in surface operations know that. Okay, we've said it over and over again. We don't do blue lights. We don't do guns. We don't do law enforcement. You can't make anything, do anything on the water. You can't. They can, but we can't. And my understanding, though, your guys have to go to LE school. See again?
Oh yeah.
You see? They just don't give those kids bulletproof vests and guns. They have to go through. Well, that's, by the way, you're the reason why they stopped doing it. Okay, you're the guy that stopped that program, and now they all have to go to LE school. They got smart. So, yeah, well, that was when they didn't have guns. They still had to go in there.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. Anyway, the point of that story is that this is an opportunity because you're here, co-located. And it's just what we've tried to do. So we had a very frank and I wanted to hear that, and I still want to hear it. They're on notice. They're gonna let me know who on the radio is doing crazy things, and we'll get it fixed. And the idea is not to be punitive. The idea is change behavior. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. We don't want to drive people out of the Corps. We need your volunteer hours. We need you to do what you do. We just got to do it according to the way the policy is.
Yeah,
And I think that's what Commander Roy's saying. Not to be trying to slap your hands. The idea is to fix it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not just about the safety issue too. It's other than the other part of that is that we can't interfere with the private sector. So if there's a tow out there, and we need to make sure we're doing that the right way. So if the vessel has already notified to contact the Coast Guard, obviously we can't just go hook up and pick them up. So we have to do more. We have to go through that process to notify and basically give the private sector an opportunity to go and tow them, tow US and any other private industries out there. So, and the problem too is, trust me, if we do it the wrong way, we're getting a phone call because we're interfering with somebody's livelihood. So that's probably one of the bigger pieces is that Marine Assistance broadcast and that policy for towing is why we need to really stick to it and not stray very far from that, because there's a lot of implications.
So we will talk about all this tomorrow in the operations brief, and we will then roll that down to your divisions through the operations chain. So you will see all that. The guys, when the aviation pour over to crew resource management, and we will make sure that we get that policy down through the system. Anything else, sir? I've got one.
I'm here for another 25 minutes. I think Commander Waddington is too. So if you have any
I want
questions
to,
for us.
Command, yes, sir?
Can I just add-
Absolutely.
About to wrap it up. I just wanted to add one thing.
Oh, we got the rest of that.
I just wanted to just chime in at the end. I asked Mr. Roy and Commander Waddington to come speak today, just so that we heard it from the top down, with the captain coming this morning through the prevention head, response head. We understand the importance of the auxiliaries, especially in our AOR, with how stretched out we are. The importance of the training that you guys do on these weekends and within your flotillas on a daily basis, because for a lot of our areas, you might be the only person out there to help somebody in need. You might be the only person that's out there to encourage that safe boating practices. So please take these trainings seriously. And you're on the radar from the top down as far as being utilized more effectively in the future. So I just want to thank both of you for coming today, take time out of your schedule to speak. And I had one more thing and then I lost it.
That's okay. I've got a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
You think
If I think of it, I'll let you know.
That's okay. Fire away. This is very free form.
We haven't done your OER yet, so we can always.
Well, see, OERs, I know what that means. Okay.
You were.
Anyway,
I got you back.
so back in the day, and I used to be in the ATON world, back in the day, Commander Waddington. And I remember like it was yesterday, we had a Coast Guard admiral say for the first time, we're gonna do less with less. Probably remember that. And that's
I've
when,
heard that 1,000 times in my
oh, wow, wait a minute, that was the first time I'd heard it.
1,000 times.
In the business world, it's always we're gonna do more with less, always that way. The point is that at that point, the unique Payton verification mission was, I think it was Admiral Washington did, I can't remember why, maybe something, I don't know, General Mobilization, Deepwater Horizon, whatever it was. It went away. And as far as I know, now, it used to be adjudicated down through the six tenders. And they kind of parceled that out, and then we had the verifiers go out and verify Paytons. But man, I haven't seen one in 5, 6, 8 years, whatever it is. Did that just go away completely? We're not verifying Paytons anymore? What's all about? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Private aids, navigation, shake it up, down. Okay, good. That was a unique. By the way, in certain districts they do it all up in one. But anyway.
Yeah, so, see, how do I answer this?
Politely.
So first, I think it's important to understand the difference between, I am a blue water Coast Guard guy, okay? I don't know why they sent me here to this brown water stuff. I have no idea, okay? Other than the fact that I've learned, I know what blue water ATON is, and then there's brown water ATON, okay? These are two different animals, okay? And then I got here, and now we're into E-ATON, Okay? So, the best way I know how to answer your question is, we do not service or manage or do anything with private aids to navigation. Mostly because I can barely keep up with the regular flow of traffic and river levels being high and river levels being low. So let me give you just an example. So I have 6 river tenders, and we can go out and run a buoy line for 100 miles. Okay? 2 weeks later, all those buoys could be gone. Okay? Towboats run into them, high water. Brown water Aton is a different animal. Okay? When you go out onto the blue water, everything stays stationary. It's great. All you got to do is verify that it's still there, that it's operational, and that it's keeping properly. Okay? For brown water, we have 6 cutters that are going out anywhere between 12 and 15 times in a year, and they're just trying to keep those aids out there to help mariners. So we really don't have time for payton, so to speak.
Okay, back in the day, it was always a selective group, just to see, because the law says that a class 1 has to be verified and all that neat stuff. But obviously, based on, it sounds like what's happened is that thing is kind of shrunk. And as these tenders get older and older, the steaming costs go up, and keeping them running is a big challenge, I know. So those of you who've never been involved in that program. However, let me say this about that, okay? You don't have to be a PQS qualified Aton verifier to report an aid being discrepant. Anybody can report an aid being discrepant. Anybody. Only a verified, qualified Aton verifier can actually say that one is, quote, watching properly. And by the way, they don't care, because they work on an exception basis. They assume they're watching properly until somebody tells them they're not. Now, this is the brown water approach to this, not blue water, because there's fewer of them. I've forgotten, we did the numbers one time. I think District 8 has 60% of the Atons in the country. I think that's right.
Very close, yes.
It's something like that, some huge number in one place. All you have to do is look at the light list. So those of you who are involved in operations or whatever you do, you can get involved in this gentleman's work. But the cutters will thank you for that, or river tenders, for being their eyes and ears. So somebody comes along and you see a towboat, which sometimes they do this for fun. I've watched it. They will just run over one to see he's shaking his head up and down, just to see what happens. They know what's going to happen. Okay, so they cut the chain, whack, and the plane goes floating off. This is why you see them up against the bank. When you're out on patrol, you see one, you report it. Okay, it's here. And you might go up the river and see where it might be missing. So there's stuff that we can be doing as their eyes and ears, particularly the miles of river that they have to cover. These boats are old, or a lot older than all the kids that are on them. A lot, by a long shot. Washita, I think 62.
Some of them are almost as old as you.
No, well, wait a minute, let's don't go that far. Don't go that, okay.
There's no wood ones yet.
The wood ones they took out. The wood ones. Yeah, the caulking went dry, okay. But the point of that story is, sir, is that these guys, if you've ever been on one, they work hard, it's long days, it's dirty, okay. Steaming, I'm telling you, it's hard work. They work hard, and they need your help, particularly when you see things wrong. And I encourage you to utilize your chain to know. Find somebody in your division. You should have an SONS. Maybe you guys inland who are in absent place don't, but those of you who are on the rivers will have one. You should. If you don't, find one, division commanders, and then get trained up and know who to call and know what questions to ask to say, does this make sense? We can get you in the right pew. Clyde Miller does a great job as the staff officer for navigation activities.
Hey, David?
Yes, sir.
The paytons being mentioned, is it not the Corps of Engineers' job? Because they're
No.
always out there when we're out there.
No.
The key operative word is private. And that's-
Private.
Yeah, private.
That's right. And you can't, Now, back in the day, I used to do that a lot, so that, and the answer to your question is no. They permit them sometimes, it just depends on where it is and what district, and don't get started on the Corps of Engineers, because I don't think they understand I don't, maybe you do, but I'm sorry, you guys are in the same building with them, and they're part of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they don't talk to each other. So, that's just the way that works, right?
You're saying pay-towns are private?
Yep.
Private,
All the way up?
Private owned.
Privately maintained.
They're required by permit to be there.
Right, who's required to check those on what, I mean, Kent Lake's full of them, and they're always off.
What did you say was?
Which lake?
No,
Kentucky Lake.
a payton will be attached to something that sticks out into the river that's
Well,
not
I'm
hazard.
talking about the ones that are, almost like they're on coastal waterway. You're going-
That's TBA there,
TBA?
where you're talking about. We'll talk about that offline.
But that is a good point, is that whether it's TBA, whether it's Army Corps, whether it's Coast Guard, whether it's private, there's an entire system to ATON. But I guess what I would leave you with, from my perspective anyway, is there's a science to it on the blue water, and it's pure art on the inland. It's pure art to me. In other words, where the OIC on the Chippewa or Osage or Ouachita decides to put that string of buoys is really based on judgment, experience, historical. It's a very it's a living system, shoaling. I mean, I'm sure you know about that. It's just very different. ATON is a very different animal here, unique to the inland rivers. I truly appreciate what folks are doing all around.
Read Life on the Mississippi, you don't know how it really is. That's what it was. Commissioners?
Just a couple things. Coast Guard's a small animal, so, me and Commander Waddington have been chasing each other. I've known his name for a long time. I don't think we've ever
At
actually
least
met.
a decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know him.
Battle scars. Okay, so, if you read my bio, you know that I was a blue water investigator for several years, and then I was the senior investigating officer in St. Louis. So you'll maybe get a theme here in some of the things that I said earlier about our crews and the safety of our crews, and that comes from doing those investigations and seeing a lot of injuries, and working our way backwards through policy to see how we landed there. Okay, I'm also an old group guy and an old sector guy. So when I became your director, you may or may not have noticed that we started shaping a lot of our thoughts towards trying to work with the sectors as they're constructed now, because like our structure in the auxiliary is still built around the old group and MSO thing, not really the sector thing, so we're trying to find our way. You'll notice some of the auxiliaries even moved how they liaison with the sectors now, and that is they have a prevention guy and they have a response guy, and they're working under one particular guy, so that because those missions can get confusing, especially on the rivers, as the commander spoke to. What I think we have a huge benefit here on probably the first time ever was, and it took a few years, but now all three sector commanders on the inland rivers, before they put out their commander intent memos on how they're going to utilize the auxiliary, all three of them exchanged those documents with each other, and they talked to each other about what are their statements, how are they going to use the auxiliary, whatever it is. Right now, each one's got their own zone, they have their own concerns, and they have their own challenges and opportunities. But if you look at sector Upper Mississippi River, sector Lower Mississippi River, and sector Ohio Valley, Upper and Lower took the original commander's intent memo from sector Ohio Valley and basically made it a template. And they almost line up nearly word for word. So how great is that? We have three sectors covering pretty much the entire internal portion of the United States, that the commanders of those units have the same outlook, the same desire for interaction with the auxiliary, the same direction to their subunits on how to interact with the auxiliary, and for the most part, somewhat the same needs. And I think that's huge. Now, we saw, once we got that come together, what we've seen is we've had a couple changes of leadership in your chain of leadership, including Randy when he took over from Rick, and then now Dave Street, one of the Daves. And so what's so great about that? What's great about that is that if you look at their plan that they put together, the operational plan coming out of your chain of leadership, it should now be lined up with what the sector commander is asking. So that it's taken a long time and a lot of growing pains. Randy had to deal with that because we started seeing some of those changes during his watch. And that's nothing but a good thing for all of us and how we interact with the sector. They're here. Please, I beg you to talk to them. Just remember that they're making themselves available today to talk to you, but make sure you stay in that chain of communication, you know, when we push forward with what you get from them today through the ensign. So like your two OTOs, that's the same place this guy came from. So they all think alike for the most part, and they're all disarmed, thank God. But what that means for you is that they speak the same language. So when you need something from John Tracy, or even from the OTO in Western Rivers, because they can lean on any of those staffs, they speak the same language and they can get the mission done. And they can work together to do what we need to do. The division commander that's here in Louisville. Right? So the sector's specific needs at the sector building, they have some things that they really need, and I hope that liaison opens up and that you're able to talk, maybe get the ensign to your division meetings, or get them to come visit your division meetings individually. I'm sure they'd be happy to actually see the faces of the people that are local that they may be able to get into the building, specifically with regard to some comms watch standing they need, and that information will come out what they need. But I think at how we have built and kind of reshaped over the last few years we've had to, we'll have to keep doing that. And as you heard, there might be more changes at the sector with regard to what the boats are doing and personnel. They keep losing people, they keep losing money. It gets smaller and smaller, and they're doing more and more and more. It's been like that since I joined the Coast Guard, right? But we got to keep bending with them and keep shaping with them. But now we are in a position as an auxiliary. We are in a position from the top all the way down to bend and shape with your partners on the gold side. You know, I hate saying the gold side and silver side because I think we're one team. But we're in the best position we've ever been to work together, to utilize each other. And it's not about just using the auxiliary, what we can't do, but it's using the auxiliary to expand what we can do. Okay, so I think it's great. I think it's amazing the amount of time these folks have spent with the sector commander and the district commander is unprecedented across the entire Coast Guard. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what they've done. So now it's really up to us to take advantage of time like this. These folks listen to what they want and tell them what you want, because they can help you with what you want to. Take advantage of the fact that we've maneuvered ourselves as a region with outstanding leadership from the top down to the deck plate to get us to a point where we have this kind of relationship with the sector and the MSUs and the cutters and even the reservists now, which is just amazing. So the local guy, please get with him.
I have a question for the cage navigation person. What was the reasoning for dropping the mile markers on the buoy, on our fixed land?
Cost.
Big boards, height boards?
Wow, that happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, it took a while for them to fall off.
Some of them were stuck on better than others.
have electronics.
Right.
And when they're lost, they
They
have
don't
no
know where they're
idea
at.
what that bloody thing is.
Yeah.
Now the mile marker's gone.
I'm not sure they know to look at the mount, or the A,
Well, they
but that's beside the point.
They on a round lake,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
We gotta take out to the lake.
They don't know.
That's been at least 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. I do think it was probably a money issue. I mean, Aton, I have to be honest, Aton is one of those things that having spent 6 years at headquarters, there's some really good things that are going on with Aton, but at the end of the day, on the priority list of everything that we have going on, it tends to fall kind of down on the priority list. I think the advent of e-Aton is going to be pretty great. So, does anybody know what e-Aton is? Digital Aton? Okay, so yeah, you're an aviator. You know that stuff. Yeah, aviators know that stuff. So,
You notice the two guys with wings told all the sea stories today.
yeah.
So I'm really confused about that.
So we just went through this. I'll back. How much time do I have? Like 5 minutes? Okay. So we just went through an initiative with D8 where we got together with industry and we validated every single fixed aid in the entire AOR. Okay. And we asked them, do you really need this aid? Okay. The reason we did that is because mariners aren't. Why have a aid stuck to a tree when they don't need it? You know. And we effectively reduced the fixed aids throughout the entire AOR by 30%. Okay. We will never go away with hard fixed ATON. However, to supplement that and to grow ATON and to grow the program, we're kind of at the forefront of e-ATON. And basically, let me give you an example of that. So we've recently, how many know we've had high water? Okay, we've had a lot of high water. I have lived high water since I've been here, okay? Sometimes that high water overcomes lock and dams, right? Okay, that completely changes how a towboat and barges navigate, okay? There is no ATON, but there's always e-ATON. So that e-ATON is able to display on Rose Point or whatever particular navigation system. Rose Point's the primary in the AOR that towboat operators are using, and they're able to navigate in water that they otherwise would have no idea where to go and what's the best place to go. And I think that's going to be very important moving forward, where it'll be a combination of hard ATON, never going to go away. I gotta say that, I gotta keep saying that, because the more we talk about e-ATON, the more people kind of freak out. Hey, I need the red and the green. I need to know where to go. Okay, I don't think that's ever going to go away, but I think it will supplement, and we'll have an ability to use that type of technology to help mariners, regardless of whether it's high water or low water, for that matter.
Notice who he said they didn't consult? Who did they consult?
What's the difference?
Who didn't they consult? Recreational
Well,
boaters.
no,
They didn't, because that's not why the system is
That's
there.
not why it does.
Exactly.
Never
And
had.
that's exactly right.
The lots and dams don't exist for recreational boats.
Absolutely not.
We just got to use it.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between what you just described and waypoints? They sound like waypoints.
I think what the e-ATON does is the waypoints are more related to what the mariner thinks is out there. Whereas the ETON, where Army Corps, the Coast Guard have gotten together and said, you are good to go through this area. That's the difference.
You guys can.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
it does now is more lateral. It's not navigation lane, it's just more lateral.
So between December about 18th and December 25th, culminating in the 9 barges that ended up in McAlpin, which I'm still dealing with, there were 7 accidents between Markland and McAlpin Lock and Dam. Okay, and almost In every one of those instances, there was an issue with high water, because how often have we had high water? It happens occasionally, right? So the problem is that even professional mariners who maybe have been have navigated for 10, 15 years may not have experienced the conditions that they encountered during that time frame. And Eton helps those conditions. Or hopefully we don't have a situation where I got 9 barges up against McAlpin Lock Dam.
So, will they be listed on the list, the Corps of Engineers charge?
No, they turn them on and then they turn them off.
So it can be established electronically, and that's the big thing. We can talk about it. And the aviators already had it, essentially. And it's a complicated system, but it's kind of magic because it's got AC power in it. And yeah, exactly. It's all magic. Okay. So anything else? Any other questions from anybody? Well, thank you, sir.
I noticed Response bailed already.
Well, he's got a SAR call. That's what they always say. When they got
They always got that
excuse.
excuse.
It's always an excuse. It's the SAR alarm just went off.
I did think of my last thought. It goes back to when I was talking about training, and Mr. Roy, Commander Waddington mentioned, and even Senior Chief Tattoo, when he was here, about looking outside the box and using your diverse backgrounds and knowledge, and what your members want to do. That qualification may not be available due to your location, but in areas where, in Cincinnati, where you're so located there, it's more readily available. But like Senior Chief said, let's work outside the box, think about things. And I wish Mr. Roy was here, because I'm about to prove that I do listen to him. How do we get to yes? So tell your people to work through their chain of leadership, and then through me, we can work out to the subunit to figure out how we get to yes for getting those qualifications that you're interested in, that then I can turn around and present to Commander Waddington and Mr. Roy and say, now we have this added capability in an area we didn't previously. That's where I would like to take that. So please push that down, that we want to do that.
Let me embellish that. What started that conversation was watch standing. We've got people that have watch standing qualifications. If we blew that up, it says, okay, does it make sense for somebody that lives in Muscle Shoals to want to become a watch stander? Are you going to be able to drive on your own dime to where they can maintain a watch? And how often are you going to be prepared to do that? How much payback you're going to give for the training you get? So you guys have got to sort that out. Does that make sense? That makes sense if you could drive to Cincinnati or to Paducah and you can maintain a communication watch, or here in Louisville, or wherever the case may be. But the point is, you guys need to vet that. So figure out does it make sense. We've had these conversations, several of you have had a conversation with me about this very thing, about other stuff. Well, thank you all for participating. Thank you, sir, for coming and spending the time with us. You heard what Commander Selena said. Okay, they've made themselves available to us. But tomorrow the hall pass is over, so you still have to communicate through your chain of leadership, okay? That way we don't love them to death. That's my.
We've got 3 more presentations to do here. Let's take a 15-minute break real quick. Please come back quickly. There's a lot to do. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my corner. I started doing the ordering for the facility.
I really like our office because we are around the corner, nobody's over there, nobody's watching. They can see your parking spot, and that becomes an issue. So it's a, in St. Louis? We're in the same photo. But the sector is up on the 7th floor. D8 base detachment, which is essentially administration, is on the same floor as us. It's really outside. We're completely alone here. Totally forget it. It's nice. I'm glad you got to see that. It's an opportunity to talk to you. You got to see a little bit. It took me a while.
Well,
It's clearly a very old one.
they said, figure it out. How we have so then when they started doing that, Coach said, this is never going to happen. And they hired these people. And they had to go back and luckily the teachers said, no way, because we're done. Because you'd be at a desk, if you like, the desk is there. Then you have to walk in and out, and right here to there. But you couldn't put more people there because each turn it went that way. So there's a lot of floor space, you know, with
Not usable.
yeah. So you've been in since I was in there for 3 years. Non-stop. Recently, because now they're going so even now,
You're gonna like it. At least our building was remodeled. So the inside. Once I get all my toys out of the office, it's a big office.
we were all admiring the very desks. So that'll be, I think, my first very desk. The desk that went down.
That's a classic one.
You
broke that all up, right? Okay.
No, you want to You like John?
I did.
I'll just have it there ready for you. Chance that is.
It says yes, I know. Well, then, and it's time for them to have
You guys real quick.
I want you guys up there. You can do the budget slide and then. Really?
Next, you have questions then?
You might hear my name from time to time in the awards department.
Okay. In a good way, or am I going to be denying the award for Carl?
No,
That is the word of 26 people.
I will probably get one tomorrow night, at least one, and that would be my second award. So, get all the division awards too. They're getting tired yet.
So if I had a full-time job doing what he volunteered to do,
Yeah, I got this, like, you know, you were.
And division. I may give up one of those. Somebody else. 2 hours. Keep the division. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got a guy that I'm teaching.
Okay.
Oh, I got a guy. He's been on the board for about a year.
Okay.